In today's episode of Podcasting Q&A, we are going to show you how to promote your podcast on Facebook. Marketing your podcast tends to be an afterthought if you are new to podcasting. And if you're a seasoned podcaster, it tends to be the chore of your passion project. However, marketing is definitely an integral part of running a successful podcast. And social media marketing provides a crucial touch point with current listeners, as well as giving you the opportunity to get in contact with new potential listeners to grow your audience. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about how you can market your podcast specifically on Facebook. First things first, you need to set up a Facebook page. A lot of people are kind of on the fence, like, do I need an official Facebook page if I've already got my own personal profile for my podcast? The answer is yes, and there are two reasons. The first is that you'll need a Facebook page to get your podcast listed on Facebook Podcast. The second is you need a page to be able to run Facebook ads, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the most important thing, first step, set up a page specifically for your podcast. The next thing you can do is add your podcast to Facebook Podcasts. So what better way to make sure that your podcast gets out there on Facebook than to make sure it can be listened to on Facebook? Right now, you can only listen to podcasts on the mobile app when you're in the US. But you can submit your podcast if you're in a couple different countries that have already opened that up. So this rollout process with Facebook Podcasts is still very much so ongoing, but if you want to stay up to date with what's happening and when you'll be able to listen in your particular country, we've linked a blog post below that'll keep you up to date on any kind of updates or changes that happen in the near future. The other strategy for marketing your podcast on Facebook is running Facebook ads. And the beauty of Facebook ads is that you can be really specific about who you're targeting. So let's say that you have a podcast about dogs and you're wanting to get more exposure. You're using Facebook to do that for your podcast. You can actually run an ad campaign that targets people who like dogs, are interested in podcasts. And here's another thing that you can do. If you're looking to expose your podcast to more iPhone users, Apple Podcast numbers getting up, reviews, something like that, you can actually target iPhone users with your ad campaign so that when they click your ad about dogs and your podcast, the link is to your Apple Podcast link for your podcast.
So Jolan just told you all about Facebook ads and how you can use them to catapult your podcast to massive success. A couple things you should know before you jump into this rabbit hole. There are a lot of ways for you to spend money on Facebook ads and get no results. So before you try this strategy, make sure you watch some additional training on how to run profitable Facebook ads and only spend money that you're willing to lose. With any paid advertising, you're taking a bet. You're saying, I'm betting on my podcast. I think if I get it in front of the right person with the right message, they'll take action. But there's no guarantees, and especially at the beginning when you're learning, you're probably not gonna see the results that you're hoping to see in the long run. So as long as you have all of that in mind and you're ready to push into Facebook ads, that could be a good strategy for you.
Another really cool way to market your podcast on Facebook is to create a Facebook group. And this is really cool because you can create an entire community around your podcast. Oftentimes, podcasters are trying to find ways to get in contact with their listeners, to create opportunities to build that relationship just beyond the episode. And having a Facebook group allows you to do that. Another strategy that works really well for marketing your podcast on Facebook is if you don't really do a lot of editing, you don't edit your episodes before you upload them, you can live stream your episodes on Facebook. And this is really cool because it creates kind of like an event type of feel around your episode. So you can do the live stream, you can upload it later. They have 2 opportunities to listen, but only 1 opportunity to participate. And another really cool bonus is that if you have a Facebook group, you can live stream your episode within the group. That incentivizes people to join your group. So they have access to this kind of pre-release of your episode. Another thing that you can do is engage in discussions on your episodes. What a lot of podcasters tend to do is like post and ghost. We don't really hang around after we say, hey, go listen to this episode. But what we need to do, especially because Facebook is doubling as a directory and a social platform, is engage in conversation. So if you've listed your podcast with Facebook Podcasts and you've got that nice little page, you can create conversations. Don't just post about your episode, but also engage with people in comments. You can even place a call to action in your episodes going forward, like, hey, we'd love to know what you thought about this episode on Facebook. So that then tells people where to go to tell you how they felt about the episode and gives you the opportunity to connect with them. The kind of content that Facebook likes is video. So we created a tool that takes the audio from your episodes and turns it into a video, and we call that the visual soundbite. To learn more about how that works, check out this video over here. We hope this video has been helpful, and as always, keep podcasting.